Hi, welcome back to Aunt Susie's Kitchen. Today we're making red curry paste. Red curry paste is a staple in Thai kitchens everywhere, and the basis for a dish that my daughters always order when we go out to a Thai restaurant, and that is Thai curry. So let's go ahead and go over the ingredients and then we'll get started. Okay, so let's go over all of the ingredients. I have here about 60 Thai chilies. They're dried, and I'm just putting them in a little bit of hot water to bring them back to life a little bit. They're not going to completely rehydrate, but this will soften them up so that they're easier to work with. I also have a regular lime. Now, this recipe actually calls for kaffir limes, which are not easy to get. So if you want to make this, with the kaffir limes, I suggest you go online and try to find where you can get them. I've been to 3 markets in the last 2 days and I could not get them anywhere, even at some of the specialty farmer markets that carry a lot of international products. It also calls for the leaves of the kaffir lime, 3 or 4 of those, but instead I'm going to use the rind of the lime. I'm going to zest the rind and then I'm going to juice the lime and use the juice. Also, we have here some ginger, and all I did was take a piece of ginger off of a larger piece and peel it. So this is how much ginger we're going to use. This will probably yield about 3 tablespoons. I have some fresh turmeric here. Turmeric also is not easy to find fresh. I was very lucky at one of the international markets I went that they had some. And again, this is what it looks like when you get it. It's also a root spice, and so I went ahead and peeled that, and that's there. I've got 5 large cloves of garlic. I have 2 pieces of lemongrass, and I'm gonna take the outer leaves off and cut the tops off because these are very stalky and fibrous, and I'm gonna use just the meaty parts down on the bottom. I have 2 shallots. If you can't get shallots, you can use green onions, so one or the other. I have 6 pieces of green onion here, or 2 shallots. And then I have here the stems of a bunch of cilantro. And you'll see if you go online and you look recipes up, anytime something calls for coriander, this is what it's talking about. It's talking either about the seeds from the cilantro plant that have been ground down, and that's ground coriander, or you can get the whole seeds, or you can also substitute the stalks. There's so much flavor in these stalks that it even has more flavor than the cilantro leaves themselves. I have also here some cumin. You can use fresh cumin if you want. You can buy the cumin seeds and you can toast those. You can use the cumin seeds, and I also have some dried coriander, and this is typically how you would find it if you can't get fresh cilantro. So you can do either of those. These are some fresh chilies that I also have here. If for some reason you can't find the dried, which I found that the dried were easier to find than the fresh ones, but you certainly can use the fresh ones instead. You obviously just won't have to soak them because they're still hydrated. I have my lemon zester, my citrus zester, and I have my citrus reamer, and of course some salt. One other ingredient that this recipe calls for, that most traditional Thai recipes call for with the curry paste, is shrimp paste. Now, my family is not big seafood eaters, so I'm going to stay away from the shrimp paste. But also, if you wanted to make this for someone who is vegan, leaving that shrimp paste out would make this a totally vegan dish. So let's go ahead. We're going to get over to our mixer. We're going to put everything in the mixer, and we're going to see how fast this recipe comes together. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this ready. It's just really a matter of putting all of the ingredients inside the chopper and having them work their magic. So we're going to strain the chilies out of the water that they've been rehydrating a little bit in. Oop, that one got away. And we're going to save this water. And I can tell you, don't inhale over the water because it packs a punch. So, okay, we've got all of those chilies out. The next thing that we're going to do, we'll get that one that tried to escape. And then we're really just going to start adding the rest of the ingredients. We've got the cilantro stems. I'm going to give a rough chop to the ginger. So about the ginger, you'll see that the authentic Thai recipes call for something called galangal. And galangal is another type of ginger. And it's also very difficult to find. So don't make yourself crazy. There's the shallots going in. Do the second shallot. So don't make yourself nuts. If you can't find galangal, it's easier to find dried galangal than it is to find fresh galangal. And I'm sure you could use the dried as well as the fresh. I like ginger, and I like the flavor that ginger brings to a party. So I definitely don't mind using the ginger. So now we talked about the lemongrass. So this is very woody up top. So we're gonna very carefully chop that off, chop this off. And hey guys, like everything else, all of this stuff has been washed first. Please make sure when you get home from the market, the first thing you do is wash all of your produce. Wash it well. Sometimes I like to make a warm bath of water, put a little bit of baking soda in it, and give all of my vegetables a really good rinse, especially if you buy fresh herbs, because a lot of times there is a lot of, you know, sand in the bottom at the root, and that will help remove it. Then you just give it a rinse with some fresh water and put it in a scoolabas, a strainer to strain out all of the extra water. So there's the lemongrass. I'm just going to give that a chop. This is a really, really hard to cut item, so be patient. Make sure you have a sharp knife, and you need a really strong chopper to do this. If you don't have a strong chopper, then I suggest before you put the lemongrass in your mixer to grate it, and that'll help break it down and make it easier, because you want this to be smooth when you're done. You don't want it to be chunky or fibrous. I've got those garlic cloves. I'm going to throw those in. I also am going to go ahead and, so when it comes to lemons and limes, first you zest and then you juice. Because imagine if you cut this in half and took all of the juice out of it, and then you tried to go back and zest what was left of the shell. I've done it before. It's not fun. So first zest, then juice. There's no wrong way to zest. Just don't zest past the first layer, because all of this white stuff here, that's the pith, that's very bitter. And if you've watched my other videos, I've talked about how all of the flavor is in the first layer right here when it comes to citrus fruits, lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits. That's where the oil is. That's what you want. If you grab that white, you're going to grab a bitter aftertaste for your recipe, and you definitely don't want to do that. So don't feel like you have to get like every last piece of green off, because in doing that, you might also get some of the white pith. So I think that's good. I like to roll it before I juice it. And then I use a citrus reamer. This one's made of wood. This is probably the best way to get the most amount of juice out of your citrus, because if you just tried to squeeze it without using something on the inside to separate the juice from the pulp, you wouldn't get as much juice out. And again, we don't want the pulp, so don't over ream, because again, there's pith on the inside of this also. You don't want that pith either. Okay, measuring spoons. I'm gonna just put 1 teaspoon of salt in here, because curry is the basis to other dishes, and those other dishes are gonna get seasoned as well. So you don't have to over season the curry paste. So I'm also going to put a teaspoon of ground coriander in here to complement the cilantro stems. And I'm going to also use 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. Again, if you have cumin seeds, toast them lightly in a pan, put them in your spice grinder or in a mortar and pestle and just break them up a little bit before you put them in here. And that will help them to not only release their flavors, but it'll help them break up more completely. Now, this also calls for about 1/4 cup of the liquid that we blanched or rehydrated those chili peppers in. So, cross your fingers if we did this right. It's all going to come together. I'm going to pulse it at first, and then I'll go ahead and completely make sure that it's mixed. Now you see how this is a heavy duty commercial grade chopper, and you can see how once the blades hit that lemongrass, the machine itself is vibrating a little bit. It's okay. That'll only happen in the beginning, and then it'll level out, and as everything gets smooth, it'll blend really nicely. So here we go. So I think I'm going to add just a little more of this liquid and help everything. There we go. Help everything to incorporate nicely. It's breaking up nicely. Right now it's still a little bit too chunky. We want it a little more smooth. So we'll pulse it a little bit and then we'll turn it back. Okay, so here's something else I want to show you. If you don't have a mixer, which I recognize that not everybody has an industrial mixer at home or a heavy-duty food processor. Almost everybody has one of these, I don't know, choppers, smoothie makers. There are particular ones on the market now that boast that they make soups and they make salsas and they make all kinds of different things. This is the one that I have, and it works great for blending thoroughly. So, same mixture. You can put all of your ingredients in here, depending on how big a batch you're making. There's a larger cup that comes with this. Make sure you put enough liquid, and let's go ahead and blend it with this mixer and see how that goes. I really think that this just out-processed my industrial mixer, or my industrial food processor. No joke, because what we have now, don't inhale it. What we have now is that smooth curry paste that we're looking for. And like I said, this is going to be the basis for so many different dishes. We're probably going to have Thai red curry for dinner tonight, served with some beautiful rice. That'll be another video for another day. Okay, so storing things for future use is always important for me because I like to make things in batches so I have it. So when you're done making this, use whatever you're going to use, and then whatever's left over, you can put in a jar and put it in your refrigerator, and then you'll have it for a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Facebook and make sure you like and comment and come back and see us again because there's always something good cooking in Aunt Susie's kitchen.